Good morning and welcome to BOTB HQ in Parsons Green, South West London. My name is Christian Williams, the presenter here at BOTB. We're here this morning to judge the latest Dream Car competition, which ran from the 22nd to the 28th of June 2020. Just before I hand over to Charlotte, once again, huge congratulations to last week's Dream Car winner, Lawrence Dunstan, winning the incredible Audi RS7 plus £20,000 in cash. I'm now going to pass over to Charlotte Houston from Onside Law, who will oversee the proceedings this morning.
Hello, my name's Charlotte Houston from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditors, Wilkins Kennedy. I would now like to introduce today's judges. First up, it's Matt Cannon.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer and looking forward to a game.
Thanks, Matt. If you could now use the secure link provided and mark on the screen where you think the centre of the ball should be, and then we'll come back to you at the end for you to justify your position and for a final panel decision. Next up, Andy Braithwaite.
Thanks, Charlotte. My name's Andy Braithwaite. I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
Next up, Peter Georgiou.
Good morning, my name's Peter Georgiou. I am a football and futsal referee.
Next up, Hugh Gilroy.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm an active referee, mentor, tutor and observer.
Next up, Alain Goma.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional footballer, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Next up, Leo Donnellan.
Good morning, my name is Leo Donnellan. I'm an ex-professional football player, having been with Chelsea, Fulham and Leyton Orient.
Thanks, judges. If you could each now individually justify the position of your cross on the screen, starting with Matt, if you could please justify the position of your red cross.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good morning. My red cross, what I believe, there's a player in white who's just on looking, and he's looking up and higher from his right-hand side. The player in blue, and I'd call it red, is in a strange sort of position. And to my mind, he looks like he's falling back and possibly going to play the ball on with a foot. I don't think it's an overhead kick, but I think it's that kind of position he's going to play the ball onwards. I think he's looking up, sort of straight up from his forehead, and I've cross-referenced the white player's eyes, and I've put the centre of the ball where my red cross is.
Thank you very much, Matt. Andy, if you could please justify the position of your cross.
Thanks, Charlotte. I'm the green cross in the picture. Pretty similar there. I feel that the guy to the left of the picture is leaning backwards. I don't know whether he's going to, what he's going to attempt at all. I just feel that he's falling away from the ball. He's dropping, just from straight down. The guy over on the right-hand side put the brakes on, who's going one direction. He's looking at the ball again, but not enough to actually affect anything to do with the ball. He's just looking directly at the ball. And again, I've cross-referenced a couple of times with the guy in white from both of his eyes. I've given two lines of view, but one straight line from the guy on the left-hand side, place the centre of my ball with the green cross.
Thank you. Peter, if you could please justify the position of your cross.
Yeah, mine's the blue cross, the one that's closest out of the group to the player in purple and red. I believe he's going to chest the ball. The reason why I think he's chesting the ball and leaning back to collect the ball is his left fist is clinched and his right hand is out balancing. Therefore, I think the ball is dropping in from a higher trajectory than I believe the other guys I believe the ball's coming into him, but I think it's dropping into him from a higher angle. And that's why I got it close to, because I think he's actually going to chest that ball onwards or down to himself. And I've tried to gauge the height of it as well with the guy in white. He's quite a bit of a distance away. So yeah, my understanding looking at it is I think he's actually going to be chesting that ball, and that's why I got it closer to the player than the rest of my colleagues.
Thank you. Hugh, if you could please justify the position of your cross on the screen.
Yeah, mine's the orange cross. 2 players in shot, taking the eye lines from both, so I believe they're both looking at the ball. I felt the player in red and blue is leaning back. Yeah, wasn't sure how he's going to play it, but it's an odd position. Didn't think he was going to meet it with his head, or he's probably going to try and play it with his feet, leaning back to try and meet it. And just where both players' eye lines met, given that it'd be a little distance away from him, that's where I placed my orange cross.
Thank you. Alan, if you could please justify the position of your cross on the screen.
My cross is the grey one. So yeah, 2 players in the shots. I think the player on the left is going to head the ball. Looking at his body position, he's leaning backwards. It looks like he's lost his balance. And but even though I think he's gonna head the ball, you can see his right arm. It looks like he's falling backwards. So the player on the right hand side with the white shirt is looking across, kind of diagonally. So where these 2 eye lines meet, this is where I put my cross.
Thank you. And finally, Leo, if you could please justify the position of your cross on the screen.
Yes, there's 2 players in shot. I took a lot of information from the player in white. Actually, I think he's very focused on the ball. I think he's looking quite high. I think the player in red and blue, 2 things. He might be adjusting to head the ball, but he also might be falling back to volley the ball, to let the ball come down. I actually think it was actually the second one. So I think if you look at his eye line, he's looking in front of him. I think if he's going to volley the ball or kick the ball, I think the ball wouldn't be so close to him. So that's why with his body shape, I think he's falling back to kick the ball. And also judging by both players' eye lines, that's why I put my purple cross where I did.
Thank you, judges. Matt, as the main judge, could you now please come to a panel decision with the other 5 judges on the central screen? For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 6 individual selections.
Thanks, Charlotte. Hi, guys. Okay, as usual, we'll draw some lines. We've got quite a narrow spread from this player up. That's got a narrow view, and the bigger spread is obviously from this player in white. That's quite a low view. If I just take each individual eye. So that's the biggest spread. Obviously, 2 or 3 of us have said that we thought the player was leaning back to maybe volley the ball. I think Leo described it best, better than me, certainly. But I'm of a belief that that's what he was going to do. And I think Peter said the ball's close to him because he's going to chest it. I just thought because he was leaning so far back, I think chesting it, if he was going to chest it, he'd be in no position to sort of control the ball, which is, again, partly reason I don't think that's going to happen. If we just, obviously we've got the average here. If I just take out Leo and Peter for now, it really, the average doesn't move really at all. It sort of pops back in where it was. It goes slightly higher. But Peter, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've got this player looking quite low. What's your thoughts again?
The player in white, I think he's quite far away, so his eye view will be quite spread, I think. And I still believe that he could be in a position to chest the ball with his shoulder, his left shoulder coming across. and maybe palming it off. But yeah, I still think that's a possibility, him chesting it. But I can understand also your train of thoughts in regards to if it's an overhead kick, and if I thought it was an overhead kick, I probably would have it further away from the player in red and blue. So yeah.
And again, Leo, you're the furthest away, and you believe he's going to volley this with myself, but just thought it needed to be a bit further away for him to do that.
Yes, Matt. Excuse me. Yeah, I just think he's, like you said, he's going to volley the ball. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do an overhead kick. But I do think the player in white, I just feel he's looking quite high. And as we said, if he's going to volley this ball, maybe it wouldn't be so close to him. Yeah.
I mean, I tend to agree. I think his chin's a bit up with the white player. He's not looking across. Alain, you're in the middle of this. You're just above the average.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, Leo's theory that he's going to kick the ball, I think is feasible. And I think, if it's the case, he's going to kick the ball. The ball should be at least as far as Leo's cross. Otherwise, you can see his legs is still, quite low. And if the ball was closer to him, I don't think he would have the time, to kick it basically. So I personally think, is more the ball is slightly closer to him because of the direction the player in white is looking at, and therefore I think he's going to head the ball.
Okay, fine, yeah. Andy, you're the green cross. You're just a little bit above us.
For my opinion, Matt, I feel that the guy in claret and blue, he's pretty simple from his eye line. It looks straight up. We're all pretty much on the same line there. I've taken much more from the guy in white. To me, pretty much the same as what Leo's saying. I think he is looking a little bit steeper than the balance of you guys. Guy in claret and blue, to me, he's falling away. As I said, we had all the scenarios overhead. Is he going to chest it, whatever? But I just feel that he's actually falling away. The ball in the middle. I think the guy on the right literally put the brake on, but looking intently at the ball.
Yeah, so okay. And lastly, Hugh, isn't it? You're just a little bit to the left of the average.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think he's going to meet it with his head. When I was looking at it initially, I started to think that, and then I just thought the angle of his body looks too steep. It's like he's falling backwards to play it with his feet. I think he's sort of he's at too much of an odd angle to me with his head, and I think with one arm out, that's kind of how you often see players when they're about to play it with their feet, either, like we said, scissors, overhead kick, some sort of play with his feet. So I just felt it was a little distance away from him. I did take a little bit from the guy in white because I don't think he was looking that high. You can see quite a lot of the white, but you can also see a lot of kind of the direction quite clearly. So, I mean, I don't think necessarily anyone's unfeasible because we don't know. I'm not sure he's not going to meet it with his head. I just personally didn't think he was.
Yeah.
I'm obviously happy with the average because it's very close to mine.
No, sure. I mean, what I'll do, just if I take Peters out, obviously the average goes quite a long way up, and sort of the two outliers then become Leo and Hugh. I'm obviously happy that encompasses mine as well as Andy and Alain's. If we take Leo out as well, it sort of shifts back into roughly the position of the average. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion about taking people out, and I've thought quite a lot about this. And when you have two different people on the outskirts of the average, if we don't agree with them as a panel and remove them, it obviously does alter where the average goes, but ever so slightly. And the reason I'm making that point is that if people think that their choices are justifiable, there's no particular reason to remove them if the average doesn't alter that much. Obviously, it will change slightly in the position, but I do think it's important that people's choices are taken into account as of where it moves the average, as opposed to still being in it and keeping the average within the rest of our choices. I hope that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I agree with you, Matt. I think, yeah, if people deserve to be in, yeah, just really they should stay in, and the average maybe should go where it does.
I mean, it's more if you think there's any that are unfeasible and way off and outliers from the group, and then I think it makes sense. But I think with this one, I don't think that's the case. We don't know that player's not slightly off balance, but still going to meet it with his head or potentially chest it, like Peter said. I
mean, personally, on this photograph, I can't see the player in white looking as low as Peter's ball. I mean, that's a personal view. I just think this player in white, he's looking up at a higher trajectory. So I think that is feasible. And that is feasible, but I can't see him looking that low. I think especially with his, this eye here, I think that's sort of, it is looking up as opposed to sort of looking slightly lower down. But I don't know how the rest of it, of you feel, because it obviously needs to be a panel decision. As I said, if we take Peter out, it shifts up slightly. And I think that's a more reasonable average as a panel decision. I just think it just means that, you know, with Hugh and Leo, it sort of balances out the three in the middle. And I think that, personally, for me, that's a better choice. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think based on the white player's eye line, I think the blue cross is maybe the less feasible. I do agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah. If I just put another line in here, just. And anyone else?
I can see why it could be there. I personally don't think it is, but I can see if we do think he's off balance, potentially chest it or meet with his head. I can see why Peter's gone there. That's my view.
Yeah,
I think the player in white, like you said, Matt, I think he's looking higher. So I would say on this occasion, no, I wouldn't have Peter in there, even though with the player in claret and blue, as Peter said, look, he's falling away. He might chest it, he might head it. But if you were to ask me, the player in white, he is looking higher.
Okay. Andy, have you any thoughts about removing Peter?
Well, it's on removing him or not, but as I said, as I explained, in my opinion, I felt that the guy, I actually took more from the guy. The fact that I believe he was looking. So as I said, that's why the reason I've placed my green cross. I have done because I believe he is.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we need a consensus really of whether to keep Peter in. Obviously, Peter, that's his choice. So he'd see his choice wanting to be kept in. But as I think we've done, having a panel decision, I mean, I would vote. I think it just brings it into the middle. Of three of us are, completely covered by the magnifier, which is the ball, and then Leo and Hugh balancing that out of a slightly higher and slightly closer. So I will vote to remove Peters. Andy?
I prefer that position there myself, yes.
Yeah, without Peter, yeah?
Without the blue, yeah.
Yeah, and Hugh?
I would say leave it in. I can see why it's there, personally.
Yeah. Okay. Alain?
I think it works, you know, as it is, you know. I would say, yeah, without Peter, yeah.
Yeah, and Leo.
Yeah, I'd take Peter out.
Yeah, okay. So, Peter, are you happy for us to accept the sort of majority?
Yeah, panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a panel decision, so happy.
No, sure. Okay. Okay, so we've moved the average. Yeah. Okay, if we're happy with that, we've judged that the average, which has been moved with the removal of Peter's cross, and we're all happy with that as a panel decision.
Thank you, judges. Everybody's happy. Okay, Matt, if you could please now click submit. The coordinates selected are 1149630. These coordinates will now be passed to Wilkins Kennedy to calculate the winner of the competition. They will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you very much.